to Beyond the Ring, a podcast that covers all things in the stock show industry from the informative to the insane. Starring Ryan Rash.
I am not mindful. I am not demure. I will cause the scene.
And Dale Hummel.
Your excuses just gave someone else an opportunity. Read that again.
Now on with the show.
Welcome to Beyond the Ring. This is Dale Hummel, along with co-star Ryan Rash.
Hello, hello, hello.
How's your morning going?
Well, better than yours.
I had a little issue this morning, we could say. And Ryan, this will surprise you, but I'm going to admit that I'm a little absent-minded, maybe forgetful at times. And I
don't think you're forgetful or absent-minded. I don't think you care. Is the problem.
No, I do care.
If it does not directly affect you until that time, you do not care.
Well, this issue was my driver's license expired in July, and I was made aware of it a couple weeks ago.
Exactly. Now you care.
So, leaving for Kansas City today, I went to the driver's license facility, which we all know how pleasant that can be. At the time it opened, but I was a little late getting there, Ryan, because I couldn't remember where I left my wallet.
Mm-hmm.
That had my old driver's license and some other ID with it. By the way, once I get there, they want you to show different forms of ID to prove that you are who you are. So I set my expired driver's license, which they said they would accept, along with the FOID card issued by the state of Illinois, a passport ID card, an actual passport. And before I could say anything, she pushed the FOID card away, my passport card, and my passport. None of these are allowed for actual ID. I'm thinking, the state of Illinois issued the FOID card. The passport is more difficult to counterfeit than probably any other ID, I would assume. But luckily, in my car, I had an invoice from the American Angus Association, and that was acceptable.
There you go.
This is a joke. Terrible, terrible, terrible joke. Do you think I went into any panic mode when they said I had to take a written test?
Probably.
It wasn't that bad. Other than the car seat question that I got wrong, it's fine. But we're back, recording a little later, and I apologize to Clifton and Ryan that it took me a little longer this morning to get on here to record. Ryan, what is going on the national or global stage?
I don't know about global. All I know is I think Camel Toe is desperate, very desperate.
Yes, I like this situation.
Because she's going on Fox News with Bret Baier tomorrow, and I know Hillary didn't. I know Biden didn't. They no interview with the Fox News.
This is a clear act of desperation.
I'm telling you, their internal polling has this bitch so upside down and backwards that she'll do anything right.
This speaks volumes to me more than any polls I've looked at. This tells the story in my mind.
And I don't think he's going to be nice to her.
No, what did he say? Tough but fair. and I believe he will be that, but he will not allow her to avoid the question.
I mean, when I heard that, I was like, oh, she's in trouble. The most trouble.
So what about them taking, and I didn't get to hear a lot of this. I've had a couple texts on it. They're taking something Trump said out of context that if he wins and you didn't vote for him, he's going to unleash the military on you. And
I didn't see any of that.
And the Chameleon picked some of that up and was talking about it. So just unbelievable. You and I talked text briefly. I do not have enough information on it. The possible third assassination attempt was not an assassination attempt, or was it?
Well, there's not. The man claims that he's a Trump supporter, and on his social media, it is that way too. Now, I don't know why he thought he needed to take a gun to this rally or whatever he took, but
I'm not opposed to having a gun in your vehicle or something you kind of forgot about, maybe. But wasn't there several passports and things?
Which, I mean, again, I'm not saying this person can't be lying and did all this on social media, whatever, but like, he says he's a Trump supporter, social media says that, and so I have no idea. Like, I don't even think he got in there.
No,
somehow
they stopped him before he got into the perimeter.
Yeah,
and I saw something about multiple fake passports that concerned me.
Again, I don't know, but clearly they're doing a better job.
What concerns me even more, and maybe I'm missing something, is he not out on bail and already released?
I don't know. I don't know that.
I heard it was $5,000. $5,000 bail and away he goes.
Oh, well, there you go.
I know you're a big fan of Elon.
Right.
Did you see what he accomplished the other day?
No, I did not.
So when we send a rocket ship up, most of the fuel is exhausted to get out of the Earth's gravitational pull. Makes perfect sense. In the big fuel tank, then that portion of the rocket drops off. And I'm assuming most of the time it's landing in the ocean. I really don't know. Guess what Elon's did?
What?
It came back to the actual launch pad and fit itself right back into that little launch pad bracket. Boom, done.
Oh, well,
amazing. I thought that it was actually a rewind of the initial, but it was real. I have no idea. Something that shaped, how we can engineer that to happen is amazing to me. Absolutely amazing. Elon strikes again.
We know that you love Elon.
I'm Elon for the Nobel Peace Prize. Whatever we can give him, give it to him. Just give it to him.
Somebody, I don't know who, but some person on one of the messengers or whatever wants to know why I don't like Vance. And I'm just going to tell that person.
That may be a question and answer today.
Oh, okay. Well, then I'll wait.
But while we're on that one, no, we'll wait. Everybody have to wait to the end to get that. I did see that one on Messenger. Well, I don't know.
He's not going to like my answer, but I'll wait.
Oh my. Yeah, I'm probably not going to like your answer.
No.
Is my assumption. So I have not followed the news as much. I hear there's some rockets coming into Israel from several different locations, but they have not retaliated against Iran as of yet.
Well, your other vice presidential candidate. So the Democrats this last week, they have all this nonsense that men in general, but particularly black men, are not supporting camel toe. Okay.
President Obama was very angry about
Very
it.
angry. He lectured them all, whatever.
I give
that
it up.
Brothers, whatever.
Amazing.
Yeah. Which I don't know if any of our listeners have really watched Waltz. I would not call him masculine in any way. I don't think he's feminine, but he's not masculine. Well, they send him out to show off his hunting skills because, that's a masculine, manly thing to do. And I guess he dropped the shotgun.
I mean, they are really trying to pretend to be more moderate. And we talked about this last time, and that is another indication.
Which my thing is, don't you think his handlers would have made him practice?
I just don't know. But think about Harris's handlers. I don't either. She doesn't have any, or she doesn't listen to them.
I don't.
They have to be more intelligent than allowing her to do what she does, especially coming on Fox. I
don't think. No, somebody made her do that. That's all there is to it. She did not do that willingly. This is
not going to end well for her.
It's just if you don't do this, we might as well quit now, because that's the last resort.
Well, I think once she does that, they can no longer throw that she's not doing interviews, press conference. That I think the only advantage is that ends, but I believe it will end very poorly for her.
But I mean, it's going to end 15 days before the election. Okay.
Yeah. No, I get it. I am so happy that she's doing it because of what we talked about earlier. It's a sign that internal polling is really, really, really bad.
Dumpster fire.
Yeah, that is so good. Now, as long as things are above board in counting the ballots, I feel pretty comfortable today.
Well, the state of Georgia may just have a mini revolution over the counting of the ballots in that state. So they passed a law that said that the ballots have to be counted by hand. And the politicians are in literally World War III in the state of Georgia over all this. So I don't know. Good luck.
I saw the Department of Justice was suing one of the states, I believe a swing state, because they chose to go through and purge the non-citizens from their voting rolls.
Oh, well, there you go.
That is very hard for me to wrap my head around.
Yeah.
The justification was if they made a mistake and they purged somebody that truly was a citizen, that it might be difficult for them to get reinstated to vote in time. But we're not at all concerned about all the non citizens voting. Amazing. Just amazing. Ryan, do you have any BTR JLA news?
Yeah. Top 10 intermediate land. Alan Morris, first from California, followed by Addison Zerbach of Oregon, followed by Charlie Fender of Nevada. Fourth is Adele Simpson of Arizona, Piper Raymer of Washington, Tyan Kern of Nevada, Hadley Powell of Colorado, Sailor McCoy of Oregon. Ninth is Audrey Callens of California, and 10th is Lefty Dottie of California.
Congratulations to the youth members that made the top 10. The American Royal is currently underway, and those with ShowFresh H2O in their show box have the insurance policy to benefit those animals that need hydrated. If there's a chlorine taste in that city water, this will neutralize such. Animals will drink better. It is very simple. You can purchase ShowFresh H2O at your local farm store, Show Supply Trailer, or at swampfox.com. We greatly appreciate the support from ShowFresh H2O for not only this podcast, but the junior livestock industry. Thank you. Main topic coming to you today is the true value of showmanship.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to give Ryan credit for the topic idea.
All of the topics.
Many of them. Yes, many.
Uh-huh. So Dale does not even know what this is probably going to be about, so he's probably not going to say much.
I have
anyway.
a mental image, but I bet it's wrong.
Oh, okay. Well, anyway. So I think I understand and I appreciate that there is a whole segment of the livestock show exhibitors population that value winning showmanship more than winning the show. And I get that. And I understand that. I appreciate that. I applaud that. Okay. Got it. I want to
restate it one more time just to make sure.
I just want everybody to know that at the beginning. So when we go into this, that section, I don't want y'all getting pissy and sending me hate mail. But I do believe that. I say it almost every show I judge. Not every kid is going to be in the situation of the grand champion animal, but you can be the grand champion kid. You do that by winning showmanship. I believe in this, okay? Greatly. The problem is right now, we, for some reason, show differently in showmanship. We dress differently in showmanship than we do in the real show. And I don't understand that at all.
So do you think they dress better for showmanship? More appropriate?
Yes. Yes. Because the true value of being a great showman is that when the banners and the buckles and the sail holes and the checks and all this stuff is on the line in the actual show, if you are a great showman, you have an advantage over the other ones. That's why you want to be a great showman. And that concept is completely lost right now.
Well,
totally.
You stated in the very beginning that for some people, some families, and I agree with this, the showmanship portion is more important. So they're putting more emphasis on getting that right.
That's fine. You don't show differently, though.
I'm not here to argue with you about it. I'm just explaining the perception that I see.
I don't get it. I don't understand it. And they don't show better in showmanship, in my opinion. They do not. They may dress better, but they don't show better.
So I think in some situations, when I'm sorting showmanship, they do a lesser job because they're trying to do things in a formal manner, maybe how the last judge told them to do it, rather than just making that animal look the best.
Exactly. That's why I said they don't show better.
Yeah. No, I believe that to be true. I think we're too worried about doing A, B, and C that you're always told to do in showmanship rather than what needs done.
And I understand that judging showmanship is even personal. I don't know, whatever. Like, there's a lot more differences in showmanship than there is even in the regular show judging, because there is no class in high school or college or anything else. This is what a great showman's supposed to be. This is how you judge showmanship. Like, you can take a livestock judging class, all this other stuff. So it's even farther varied on this. And like, while people have priorities when they're judging stock shows, they have pet peeves when judging showmanship that weigh even harder on the thing. And so I get that it is radically different from judge to judge. I understand that. I accept that. But overall, I want you kids to listen to this, or if you parents are listening, you need to explain this to your child. You should not show differently in showmanship than you do in the regular show. You should not. And I am telling you right now that at a lot of the shows, showmanship is sometimes after, a majority of time after the regular show. And so if you have showed one way in the regular show and then you come into me in showmanship after the show and show completely different, it's not going to be in your face.
I can only imagine how you look at that.
Or let's flip it and reverse it. Let's say showmanship's first. You come in and show one way there, and then when you're actually showing, you're doing something there. That's not going to be an impression that makes you stick out in a good way. This baffles me. I don't understand it. I would like for Dale to.
I can explain it how it needs to be, which I think you can obviously, and you have something set in your mind.
I want you to tell me why this happened.
I do not know. I can tell you that if I'm giving guidance, that you need to go out there and look like you're there to win, dressed appropriately, professional, all of those things every time you're in front of that judge. And you need to make sure you're doing everything possible to make that animal look as best it can. And every animal is going to be a little bit different. So it's not that you make eye contact, step A, B, I don't know, help another exhibitor, or whatever the judges and showmanship are saying you have to do. Sure, you're probably going to do those things anyway, but let's focus on presenting the animal in a manner that's going to be positive to the judge. Period.
And like
without distractions on your part.
You're talking about other things. So I'm going to give an example of what I see a lot, because I don't want to be vague about this. I want people to understand where I'm coming from here. So in the regular shows, if you're showing a goat or a sheep or a calf and your animal gets out of line, well, most kids, if they can maneuver the animal back in line without having to circle out, they do. Do you not agree with that, Dale?
Yes.
Okay. So when we get into showmanship, we lose that completely. And not only do we circle out, we make this huge dramatic circle that takes like a minute longer than it needs to. And that is dumb. If you have to circle out, your circle just needs to be big enough to get your animal back in line straight. All this, what
if your animal looks good on the move?
No.
See, I'm not opposed to taking a lap.
You're just going to circle out in front of the judge for the
if the animal looks better on the move and it won't cooperate.
Don't listen to him. He's the reason you people show wrong in showmanship. Okay. Don't listen to him.
If the animal is not cooperating on the profiler when stuck, then I do take a big lap. I think it's appropriate, especially if they look better moving. But this is very...
I just don't. I do not understand that.
You'd rather they pivoted on a dime and get their ass back and set up.
Yes.
See, I'm not into that short little bitty pivot, but I do like the efficiency you're getting at.
You never know when the judge is going to... And I mean, if the judge is at the other end of the ring and you've got time to make a big... I'm saying, regardless... You make as big a circle as it takes to get your animal back in line.
Without the animal looking uncoordinated.
Right. But these children that I'm walking... I was just at the state fair for what seems like 3 weeks. But anyway, and I watched this. These children that make these huge circles.
Are you picking on the children at the Texas State Fair?
I might be, yes.
Okay, just
right there in front of the judge. Right there in front of the judge. I'm like, what are you doing?
And this would be in the cattle show, just to be more narrowed in, right?
I watched more than cows, but anyway. But yeah, primarily, I ain't gonna lie. Anyway, yeah, I don't get it. And so you were talking about earlier about how they don't do things to make their animal look as good as they can in showmanship. I guess that they're afraid that if they do something like, I don't know, loin, pull the belly up, brace harder, slap the animal to get it to brace harder. I don't know. Maybe they think they're going to get points taken off in showmanship. I don't understand this.
You do what you have to, just as you would in the show, to make that animal look good.
Yes.
Without the judge noticing, preferably knowing anything that you're doing other than walking that animal in.
This has been bothering me for a while, but now that I'm talking about it,
years, I believe.
It really bothers me more. I cannot fathom the concept that I know I can do A, B, and C to make my animal look better. And I'm going to do that when it's in class in the regular show, but I'm not going to do that in showmanship.
Because they've been guided.
This is when you're actually getting judged on how well you can make your animal look.
Do you not believe they've been instructed to do something different? Or to focus on...
I do, and I don't know what... This is what I'm saying. I don't understand it. I want to know who. I want to know who is responsible.
I could give you some names if you'd like.
Because I want to hurt them physically.
I understand completely.
I will choose violence.
Completely what you're getting at, and I want to come out there just a little bit more. Sometimes in showmanship, the showmanship class itself, because they feel as though the eyes are on them, maybe a little more nervous, maybe more exaggerated in their movements or what they're doing. There's a lot of things that go into it, but it is really, really simple for me that, I mean, you should look, you should behave, you should do everything in showmanship exactly as you would in the actual show or vice versa. Doesn't matter to me which one is more important. It's still, you're in the ring for X amount of time. You may as well get everything out of that you possibly can. And the ideal way to do that in my mind is know how your animal responds, adjust accordingly, do what you can to put that animal together as best you possibly can without drawing too much attention to yourself. The attention needs to be on the animal. If that animal's out there and looks perfect and you're near invisible, that's perfect for me. But I'm not opposed at all to you, and not only not opposed, you need to come in with that look that you're serious, that you're there to win.
And have a look.
Well, no, come in. As far as invisible in terms of your body action, not over exaggerating. I don't want it to look like you're working hard to get that animal set up. That's a better way for me to frame it.
Then you don't need to watch a sheep and goat show for the rest of your life.
No, I probably don't. This does not mean, and Ryan, we've talked about this, the lamb kids that are running around the ring with their sheep and somebody told them to because they're hiding a movement issue. It doesn't mean that we bounce in the ring. So I'm distracted by this pig kid bouncing up and down rather than maybe looking at their pig, or the splits all the way literally to the ground in the sheep or goat arena. And again, if that is the only way that your animal is going to look good, I get it, but I don't think that's the case many times.
So we're talking about all the splits and all this other stuff. So I just did a county fair. I'm not going to say which county fair.
I'd like to know which one.
No, I'm going to say. But
can you give us the state?
It was sheep. And
state,
so this girl.
State.
No, this girl, I mean, she is as spread out as you can get. I mean, like
gymnast split.
Yes. Yeah. But like that animal is full out braced as hard as you can make it.
She's got it.
I mean, yeah. And so I walked up to her in showmanship. I said, I'm going to be the first one to tell you, I hate your stance. Like, I said, you are way too spread out for me. I think it's distracting, all this other stuff. I said, but like, your animal has been braced the entire time more than anybody else's. I said, and you're great poise, great poise. I used her to win, but I told her, I don't like the way you stand because I'm with you. If that's what you have to do to get that one, whatever, then I'm going to allow it. But I just want to bring that up.
But if you can do it with the less of a distraction, That would
Yes, and that's why I told her. I said, I think if you can still get him to full out brace like that, and you were a little more upright, it would be way more ideal, way more. But uh, so I talked about them dressing different in showmanship, and then, so people are going to yell about this, but that's okay. So I had somebody at the state fair come up and ask me. They said, and this wasn't showmanship, this was just a regular show. They said, we just started showing cattle. We have been showing sheep. My daughter only brought a short sleeve shirt to show in because nobody in the sheep deal shows long sleeve shirts or whatever, whatever. I said, and they said, is that going to be a problem? Like, are we going to get knocked? I said, no. I said, first off, it's 95 degrees, but no, I don't think so. I said, no judge is going to knock the placing of your animal because you're in a short sleeve shirt. I don't think that's how that works.
If there is one, it would be you.
Not in the actual show.
Oh, got it. I thought you meant in showmanship.
No, this was the actual show.
Got it.
Yeah. And I was like, no. But so, for instance, like when I'm talking about they dress different, a kid that wears a long sleeve shirt in showmanship and then puts on a short sleeve one when it's 95 degrees, that's not what I'm talking about, people, at all. Completely not what I'm talking about.
However, we need to clarify, you and I are a little bit odd about this, that every judge is going to have their personal preferences on how that individual dresses, that showman puts themselves together and how they dress for that judge. Ryan, you'd made the comment many, many times. If you've seen pictures of that judge sorting before, or that morning, you can look at the judge. You can kind of, I'm not saying change your whole wardrobe, but if it's Ryan or I, it's very rare. I have some in my closet, but they'll probably be given away here shortly. Rarely we see us in a short sleeve shirt. I can't explain it. I don't know why, but I am much more comfortable in a long sleeve shirt 90% of the time.
Oh, I always judge in a long sleeve shirt, no matter what the
temperature is. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but it is not something in showmanship that, like, I've never beaten a kid because they were in a short sleeve shirt versus a long sleeve shirt. Okay, that doesn't bother me. And I do say, go up there and look. If the guy's wearing boots or the lady's wearing boots, you might need to find a pair of boots. I'm not talking about that either. If you want to wear boots and showmanship and then put those stupid on club, whatever the hell.
Hey, now be nice. Be nice to those.
Hey, dude, god awful shoes on. Go right ahead. But I am talking about, like, when you are just dressed completely different. Like, you show in the regular show and maybe your jeans are really dirty because you've been working and you're in a t-shirt and, your hair's not, but like the girls that wear their hair down and then in showmanship, they pull it up out of their face. I'm like, why would you do this now?
Maybe they did not have time because they're getting their animal ready.
Lies. It is all about just because somebody told them their hair didn't be down and this other stuff. And I don't even think this makes the impression that you're trying hard in showmanship. Or at least to me, it's not. It is the impression you didn't care earlier, so why are you doing it now?
This bothers you, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
Okay. Just checking.
Like, I think it should be the same. There are small details. Like I said, if you want to put on boots for showmanship because the person wearing, I get it. If you want to put on a long sleeve shirt, I get it. Other than that,
I can speak from my children showing and the families we work with. If those kids are helping fit and washing and doing everything, it's always a bit of a time crunch and a little bit hectic for them to go change right before they're going in the ring. They get it done and they adjust for it, but it is stressful. And I think sometimes they just don't.
Okay. And so I'm going to throw this out there and you're going to say that I'm an asshole, and that's fine. We all know I am. So on the little girls, this happens almost every show. On the cute, darling little girls, they'll come in the show. Right. They'll come in the show. In the regular show, whatever, they're going to have the biggest, sparkliest bow in the world in showmanship. That was not you didn't even have a bow on. earlier. Like, I know you're doing that. Just try to get at me. That does not work.
They should have put it on earlier to get at you, not just in
I
showmanship.
know. And that's what I'm saying. It's just shit like that is annoying. I
think
don't-
you're maybe more sensitive than most to it. Just saying. Just looking in from the outside.
You're the one that said you liked this topic.
I know. I do like the topic, and I actually happen to agree with you on the topic. So I'm going to change that the verbiage. You and I are maybe more disturbed by it than most. How's that?
Well, the other people should be disturbed by it too.
They should, but I just don't think they are.
Well, then I will choose violence with them.
I'm going to say that if some little girl comes out without a bow in her hair, shows to a given judge, and then comes back in for showmanship with the bow in her hair, they're going to think, well, that looks cute, and we're going to move on. That's it. That's all it's done. I'm going to say that's 90%. Okay.
Well, anyway, so I have another scenario for you that between the regular show and showmanship. Okay. And I understand that for years and years and years and years that all these showmanship coaches and gurus or whatever preach, you have to use the whole ring. You have to use the whole ring. You have to. Okay. It's way overdone now, but so.
Especially a big ring in a small class.
Right. So in showmanship, they're like using this whole entire ring when there's only 4 left and all this other nonsense, and it's overdone and theatrical and dramatic and all that. But when you're in class and they walk the top 4, we don't do that bullshit. So why is it different? Why?
I think we should adjust to the number in the class with the ring size and walk accordingly, irregardless of showmanship or regular class.
Do you know what happens when I see a kid in showmanship that's in the lead and I say walk whatever, and they do it the actual size for the number of I was like, this kid is smart. This kid is savvy. They know, they win.
I get it. And sometimes, more times than not, the rings are too small, and we do need to use every bit, even in that situation. But there are very large rings sometimes with very few animals in that class.
And sometimes those large rings, but when you get down to the top 5, they might walk again.
And I have a recommendation with a pig that's being really stubborn, which we aren't walking them anyway necessarily.
Well, they were always
let's use a goat, for example, because they're so good about not walking sometimes. If you have a goat, if you have a goat that's wanting to choke down or just isn't going to go, it is better to drag them a shorter distance in a smaller circle than to drag them the full amount of the ring.
I just do not. And that's just one example. And I had somebody come up and ask me this about 3 or 4 months ago. So this kid walks up and he says, I have a question. I said, yeah. Says, so I normally show my pig with 2 whips in the regular show. Do you think I should do that in showmanship? I said, to me, I don't really care. I said, I'm not a big fan of 2 whips, but it's not going to beat you. Most judges, I think it would probably be an issue. And so I just don't understand. And this brings me to the next part of this topic for me. Why? I say at every showmanship that showmanship is very simple for me. It is not a quiz bowl. It is not an endurance contest. It is not an obstacle course. So if you like those things in showmanship, you're out of luck with me. Showmanship is judged by me on one principle and one principle alone. If I had an animal at that show and I could pick any child to show my animal to try to get me the banner, who would I pick? That is who wins showmanship.
And this involves a multitude of factors.
But that's the principle.
Yes, absolutely. That seems simple to me. I am on the same page as you.
Okay, so why do we judge?
Well, I don't believe.
I'm going to give you a perfect example.
People think the same way.
Well, they're wrong.
Continue, please.
I'm going to give you a perfect example. In the hog showmanship of it all, there are judges out there that their most important criteria, or one of the most, is if how they open and shut and latch the gates back and forth and all this other nonsense. I could care less. You know why, Dale? Because when we're showing in the actual show, someone is going to get you in and out of that gate.
Most of the time.
90%.
Yeah. Sometimes we don't have any help, but most of the time, yes.
So why is that
It
such
has
a
been
crucial
very
factor
much,
when it doesn't matter in the regular show at all? It is not even.
it has been programmed as a courtesy where we leave the gate open, other pigs go in, and a lot of times at many shows, depending on where you're at in the country, the ring help, and I usually will talk to them, but I can remember many, many times the ring help become absent totally during showmanship. And this, I think we need to bring out.
I'm going to bring that up
yes,
too. Hold on. I'm going to bring that up.
The ring help needs to do the same thing in showmanship as they do during the regular show.
Absolutely.
And sometimes they do not.
Oh, no. And that's like
this is a
biggest
problem.
ask.
Huge.
No, I agree. And I'm going to get to that. But so we're talking about that. I'm going to finish my little pig unlatching gate nonsense bullshit. So what Cade just talked about this when we did the hog trending intercept. He didn't talk about this, but he talked about when the kid comes to shake his hand after it wins class, what happens? The head goes down, the pig goes shit, all this other stuff, and Cade's sitting there looking at the animal, talking to the animal, and that's the image that is now in his head. I completely agree with the man, by the way, because he is very, very smart, and this is a good example. Same thing happens when you have to go shut and latch your gate back.
This is true.
Same thing.
Very true.
I don't.
But I can't wait for that grandparent to come up to you after you use that young lady that didn't latch her gate and beat the grandchild.
Oh, it's happened.
Yes. They are going to bring it to your attention.
And as I told this lady, I said, ma'am, were you up there when we did the first division of showmanship? No. I said, I explained in detail this exact thing, that I could care less if you could latch gate. I said, so sorry about your bad luck. Somebody should have been listening.
I'm going to say a large percentage of the swine judges make that still a box.
Oh, I'm saying it is a huge priority to most people. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. I think it's ridiculous because it is not a factor in the regular show. Why is something that is not a factor in the regular show going to be one of the most important criteria of judging showmanship? That is dumb.
So to me, rather than checking the box, the factor that you brought up earlier, not all pigs, but most of them, when you get off the whip and you're turning around to go shut that gate and the pig is wandering on its own, it's going to give you that look that Cade talks about when they're coming up to shake your hand. That is my opposition to it. And I am perfectly fine if somebody can shut a gate and the pig still looks. I'm not holding against those people that do it, but I'm telling you, if you are going back to shut the gate and that pig is giving me a bad look, whether I want to excuse that or not, it's still going to be there in my subconscious that I saw that pig not at its best.
Yeah. So
this is going to get hate mail, just in case you're wondering. And I don't want it. I'm just trying to sort through and explain Ryan's thoughts a little bit.
Whatever, send me the hate mail, but
please address it.
I just don't understand why judges. And I was just using that instance in hog showmanship as an example, but I do not understand why we judge showmanship different than we would in the regular show. That doesn't make any sense to me because, like I said, I think it's very simple. The best showman is the one who presents their animal to the best of their ability. So I am going to give one more example about this. Every kid comes to the show to show their animal. The one they worked with at home, the one they know, all this other stuff. So why in the hell did we switch animals in showmanship?
I don't see it as much now as what I did long ago.
Why did they ever?
To prove that you can adapt to another animal. And I'm going to say more so than that, it started for whatever reason at one time, and it became tradition.
Which, when I was a child and doing this,
Many years ago.
This is where I would win easily because I had more animals on feed than anybody else. So clearly, I had dealt with more attitudes than anybody else, and so I didn't mind it. I mean, I thought it was dumb then, but when they did it, I was like, okay, this is in the bag now. But I've never understood.
I don't see that much anymore.
I still see it some, and I don't understand that concept. Like, I don't. You came to the show to show your animal, so why did we do this?
And it really, some of those good showmen that have sync with their animal get to another one, and that animal just doesn't, whether they're a good showman or not. It's an issue, but I can't even remember the last time I saw it happen. So I'm a little blind.
Okay, and then I'm going to get off this, but have you ever seen a showmanship, and I've seen this in recent years or whatever, where like in the cattle show or in the pig show, they'll take the whips and the sticks away? Why would you do that?
I have not seen that. Not recently.
Why?
I can remember a lot of obstacle courses.
Are they going to take your stick or your whip away when you enter the ring? No, they're not. So why would you do that shit?
I've seen a show take a young exhibitor's halter away and tell them their parents had to go buy a chain before they were allowed in the ring in the real show.
I would personally ban all vinyl halters in the history of the world, so I'm fine with that. But and then the last thing on this before we move into the ring help, and I really want an answer from you out of this, and no soft.
I've had a tough morning. You know, I went to the DMV, right?
Okay. I can understand. I do. I will be very clear with everybody why I do not ask questions in showmanship. I have no poker face, and the answers that I get when I did, a lot of them not even in the ballpark on very simple questions because I do not, and this is going to lead more into this. And so these parents would see my face, and when their child would say something, and they're like, what did they say? I was like, I don't think you want to know. So I just quit. But I can understand asking some questions in showmanship, some other thing. Why do we have to have a quiz? Like, you're not going to ask these questions in the regular show. So why do we ask them in showmanship?
Are you asking me?
Yes, I'm asking you. I want to know.
I will use myself as an example. I have asked questions of exhibitors before, not in recent history and not in the probably past 5 years or longer. But at one time, it was more standard to ask questions, and the concept behind it or philosophy behind it was to see if they had any further depth of when the industry and the show ring may have been related a little bit or tied to one another of the industry. If you're asking some industry type questions and or breed type questions and or simple feeding and management questions to better understand how knowledgeable they were on the depth of their project. Now, does that mean that makes them a better or worse showman? I can't argue that part.
It doesn't.
No, I'm aware.
I can remember that.
But at one time it was if you did not answer those questions correctly, you were done.
I get it. And I'm going to give it, like, I remember that I would have to know everything on my feed tag. No judge in an actual show came up and asked me what the percentage of fiber in my feed was.
Well, they're not judging you at that point. They're judging the animal.
I just think this is so stupid.
No, they're getting, again, and correct me if I'm wrong. I don't see it happening near as much now. It still happens, but less now than it did.
I think it's less, thank God.
Yes, and I can tell you that I've asked a lot of kids a lot of questions in showmanship many years ago, and if it was a really well-spoken kid with a great answer, I've even put them on the microphone, Ryan, to kind of show off their knowledge a little bit. But as of recently, I have not done anything like that, nor answered questions. I've taken on your philosophy that showmanship is just their ability to get that animal shown in the ring. Where before I looked at it more as not only get the animal shown in the ring, but having some basic knowledge of the industry and or further depth of their project. That is why.
And you said that you put somebody on the mic and all that other stuff. I get it. There was a lot of times, and I've seen this a lot, even not recently, but over the years, even after I was no longer a junior shipper, where they'd have them answer the questions on the mic. That's a public speaking contest,
but
that's not a showman.
It is, but it does the
Do you know what happened when they asked me to get on the mic?
The crowd enjoys it. How's that?
Over.
The parents, the grandparents, the cousins, the carny rats, they like to hear the kids in the mic.
And it's a public speaking contest.
It is. I agree.
So, moving on to this, I will say that this is probably one of the biggest questions that I get asked when I'm sorting a show, when we do by management or volunteers, show staff, etc. When we get ready for showmanship, like they either ask, "So, do you even want us in here, or do you want us to help?" All this other stuff, and I am with you, Dale. Why would it be any different?
But I think traditionally it is very different, and I see this more on a geographic scale. That in some parts of the country they just must have been there from the beginning, that they just don't go in the ring and they don't help. There could be pigs out there eating each other alive, and then
they're not even going to put a board in between them. No, yeah, so, go completely stalled out. The whole thing is whatever, and then everybody's left that goat in the dust finally, and nobody's going to do a damn thing. The
goat is choked out, down on the ground, nearly dead.
Yes, and nobody's going to do a damn thing. Like, I cannot understand.
And these are the extremes, but in general, I believe the ring help, and you and I always believe there should have the ring help make a difference, make a huge difference on the ability for that judge to sort them and the experience that child is going to have in the ring. So the better and the more ring help, or the more appropriate you can get for ring help, the better, period. And am I incorrect? I'm just curious on this one. Do you see it different in different parts of the country? Where if I'm looking at the Midwest, Illinois, Ohio, Indiana, this general area that I attend a few more shows, for the most part, they're handling showmanship similar to what they do a regular show.
I guess, like, I think it gets weird the further south you go, maybe.
I think west. I can remember California. Just stepping. I mean, they didn't even ask me. All of a sudden, I get to showmanship after the show, and the ring help are gone. They're just gone. And I'm not even being negative for it. That was the tradition there. They weren't doing anything wrong. That's just how it was done.
And I just don't understand that concept at all, because, and not just for the small few that the animals don't cooperate, or the pigs that get in the fight, or the goat that won't move, or all this other stuff, but it affects everybody in the showmanship, not just that
behind that animal that won't go.
Yes, I mean it affects everybody. So why would we treat it any differently than you do the regular show? This is the pivotal point of all this for me. I don't understand why you judge. I don't understand why you show. I don't understand why you bring. I don't understand why you do anything different in between the two. I do not. And no one is going to convince me I'm wrong. You're not.
I'm with you. Tradition. How's that? Tradition. Can you accept tradition?
No. No. I think if you're ring help, I think if you're a judge, I think if you're a showman, you need to do the same things in both. But
this is good. There's a lot of parents.
We got to get off this.
There's a lot of parents out there, and a lot of people that run shows that it has just been that way, period. And they're listening right now thinking, well, this is crazy. You don't help with showmanship. That exhibitor has to do it all on their own. And there is that side of the fence. You and I may not agree with it, but they have their reasons for wanting it to be that way. And the number one,
I do not agree, and I will also say they are wrong.
Number one reason will be tradition, and I think their second reason is that the kid has to prove they can do it on their own. I'm assuming, but I guarantee
the kid has to prove they do it on their own every time they walk in the damn ring. Daddy can't go in there with you.
Guarantee you, there's people on the other side of the fence that are just as passionate that it should be the other way.
They're wrong.
Hate mail to Ryan, please.
I don't care. I'm just saying they're wrong.
I agree. It should be this. I feel we should always have good ring help, and they should assist to allow the show to flow as smoothly as possible, whether it's showmanship or the actual show.
In conclusion, Dale wants all the hate mail to go to me.
Yes,
that's fine.
yes.
I'm good for it. But I do believe this, and I am very, very serious. And I want this to be stated again. The true value of being a great showman is so that you can present your animal to the very best of its ability, maximize the strengths, minimize the weaknesses. So when you're in the actual show, you have a elevated chance of doing well to a showman that maybe is not as good as you. That is why you want to become a great showman, people. That is it. That is the reason. And I'm going to state, like I said at the beginning, I understand the people that value showmanship more. I believe in showmanship. I think it is important. It's equally as important as the regular show. All of these things.
No, I believe you think the regular show is more important. You focus on that as when you were an exhibitor, not now as a judge.
I won showmanship every show.
But did it matter to you as much as winning the show?
No, because they didn't give us cool awards. That's the only
I think the awards are probably pretty close. I mean, the showmanship awards have gotten much better.
I'm just saying they weren't.
That was in the 50s or something when you were showing.
Would you let me finish?
Please.
I think I agree that it is equally as important, all this other stuff. I just don't think that we should show different. We should judge showmanship different. And I don't think the people in the ring should act different. I think it should be the same. And now I'm done.
I think you should travel around the country and put on some showmanship clinics then.
No, I'm not. They will not like me. They will not.
This was good.
You think I'm getting hate mail now?
This was very, very good discussion. I appreciate the insight that you've brought into it. And I hate to admit this, but I agree with 99% of what you're saying, even though you and I may not be in the majority on something like this. I can see the other side.
They're wrong.
This is possible. This is very possible. Do you have a question and answer sponsor?
Oh, yes, I do. I would like to thank Basic Animal Health and the Leonard family and Leonard Truck and Trailers for sponsoring the question and answer portion of this podcast. Basic Animal Health has created a revolutionary solution designed to keep your animals happy and healthy while traveling. Trailer Ride, which is all natural, complete health supplement, originally designed to help animals combat the stresses of travel. This product has unlimited uses. Trailer Ride starts by minimizing gastric distress and calming the animal for a safe and comfortable ride, but that is not all. Trailer Ride also boosts the immune system and supports respiratory health and contains electrolytes to keep your animal drinking and hydrated while on the road or at the show. If you would like to purchase Trailer Ride or any of Basic Animal Health supplements, please go to basicanimalhealth.com. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Basic Animal Health. It is greatly appreciated. Question and answer time. And we're going to start right off, Ryan. Levi, this is one you tried to answer earlier. So I'm going to let you go on your rant, and then I will give my opinion. Ryan, Ryan, it says Ryan right here. I'm reading it word for word. Ryan.
Okay.
We need to know what is so bad about J.D. Vance.
He is a moron. And all you have to do, I don't have to give you 900 references.
Can I stop you now?
No.
Just don't.
Google.
Don't.
Google the man.
Google moron, and that's who shows up.
Google the man. It starts way back.
Did you listen to the debate?
Dale, I saw the...
Did you listen to his answer?
I was judging a show. I caught the highlights. I did not say he was not well-spoken. I still think he is a moron. I think his policies are way...
I think they're pretty much in line with Trump's.
He's way far right. And I don't think he's a bad person. I just do not think that he is... You're never going to convince me that he was the right choice for vice president. I have said, I'm going to say it again, the reason Trump chose him is so he is expendable and Trump can pick somebody else to back the next time. That is the only reason he picked him. The only reason.
Oh, not because he's well spoken and maybe agrees on a lot.
He's
of
not.
policy.
He was well spoken one night at the debate. Dale, you will lie to these people. You had not been impressed with him on the campaign trail at all.
My problem with Trump picking him as a VP candidate is I did not feel that helped get him to the White House. It didn't gather any more vote. At this point, I feel comfortable with him as vice president, other than the fact I don't believe it gathers any more votes. But if he had to become president at some point, I don't believe his policy would be a lot different than where I stand.
Yes. You.
Yes.
Mr. Far
I'm
right
not that
nut
far right.
job.
I'm not.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Anyway, Latter-day Saint. And I am going to say
Have I thrown any gays off the roof?
You would. You would.
Quit.
If you didn't go to jail, you would.
No,
I mean,
that is not true.
You have literally stated on here before that you think people should be shot in the kneecap
for doing stupid shit. Yes.
Okay.
Wasn't it for walking? Remember the people that were invading the private property in St. Louis and
your lovely little couple from Missouri.
Yeah. And they brought out their guns. It was all appropriate.
Right. I say I wish Levi or whoever this person was, I wish you go look at his policy. I wish that you would look at something other than his debate performance, because Dale was not impressed with him on the campaign trail at all. I do not think.
I did not think he added to the ticket at that point. It wasn't.
He does not add to the ticket, and I'm going to say again, he's not widely popular even now after his debate performance that Dale think is wonderful. I am going to say this.
Ticket during the debate made him an asset to the ticket. And I don't know how you could call someone a moron necessarily that appears to be intelligent.
Listen to him on the campaign trail.
Listen, go back and listen to the debate.
Can I finish my thing? And the only reason that he is not getting as much bad press as what he would is because Tim Walz is literally God's greatest moron.
I'm glad that you have him below Vance. That's a start.
I mean, you could not have picked a more screwed up vice president candidate in the world than that one. And so, yeah, JD looks decent compared to him.
So why is it that left has decided to find these vice president nominees that are that incompetent?
I do not know.
It started with Obama, with Joe, right? They wanted the
people. Yes, people are paid millions of dollars to advise these people that are running for president, all this other stuff. What is the vetting process? Like, I am going to level with you people. I do not know how you get vetted and approved to be a vice presidential candidate and I'm not saying the stories are true, but there are stories on both Vance and Walz that are out there that if this is even in your background, and even though it may not be true, there's stuff that points to it, urban legend, whatever. How do you get to be that person? How?
Maybe it's false. Perception.
That's all I'm going to say. You cannot have sex with couches and you cannot drink animal semen. That is all I'm going to say.
I'm not accepting your beating up of JD Vance. I think
that was one for each. Okay, I am.
No, I'm saying in general. Until you listen to the entire debate, I don't want to hear any more about it.
Okay, there, Levi, you go live with Dale and K-Berry. Y'all be happy together. Next,
Troy, and this is coming. This one has come in via text, Snapchat, Messenger, every angle you can ever imagine. I think Ryan,
they really wanted this question on.
Yeah, and I'm going to say, Ryan, you have been hit more than I have about it, and I've had many discussions about this. So I'm gonna throw it out here. Troy states there has been a great deal of controversy over an October 1st deadline to order DNA kits from Denver with a November 1st submission deadline. What are your thoughts? Good luck with this one.
So we've done some research into this, and first off, I don't understand why everybody missed it this year. I don't, because if we've done some research and some checking, this has been the same way for 3 years. So I don't get why this is a crisis this year. I am going to say that because it is such a crisis, Denver probably could have done themselves some favors by being more exhibitor friendly and extending the deadline to order DNA kits or whatever. They're not. And I understand that. Or as of this podcast recording, they're not. And their defense is, it's been this way for 3 years. And number two, I am the first one that will yell, scream, jump up and down. If you have rules, enforce them. They are enforcing their rules.
Very well put. And it really is that simple. And I'm going to throw myself under the bus here. I agree exactly with what Ryan's saying here. I think the only change is they changed from show app management companies where I can remember last year getting on to order DNA kits, and it was challenging. I believe I had to make a couple phone calls for me to figure it out, but I am technologically challenged. So they have changed Showman management apps, and that the date does not appear to have changed. And this baffles me. And I've had a lot of conversations with both sides, the exhibitors that have missed it, the exhibitors that did get theirs in on time, which they feel like some of those would tell you that you shouldn't let the others in. If they didn't take the time and care enough to get it done, they shouldn't be showing there, which that one's pretty gray area for me. I can go a lot.
And I don't say that. And I'm not trying to interrupt you, but I do want to put this out there before, so I forget it. I do think, as a general rule on this, that it would be much easier for exhibitors and shows if there was just one thing. Like, you don't have to, you can order your kit, but anytime, here's the deadline. Having a deadline for ordering a kit and then a different deadline for it being submitted, I think that is probably not the most exhibitor friendly thing in the world. So I just wanted to put that in.
Yes, and I'm gonna address that one as well. But exactly what Ryan's saying here. I said I'm gonna throw myself under the bus. We showed at Denver last year. We hadn't shown for several years. We used to go there every time, and I'm gonna come out and just say it. It was painful. It was the least user friendly show that I've ever attended, and because of it, we didn't continue to go. It's amazing to me. They have one of the best junior premium sales. They have history. They have a lot of tradition there. And it really was a challenge. And I think in general, families out there exhibiting livestock viewed Denver as not maybe the most user friendly, or the National Western, for many years. I feel very strongly, and maybe I'm not speaking for everyone, but I've talked to enough people showing there the last couple of years. Last year, I had a very positive experience there. No, we can't say there's any issues at all. There were a couple suggestions that you'd hear that, well, we wish we could change that. And I believe two of the rules that were changed in the goat show, and I believe the junior market show in general across species, that it's no longer terminal except the premium animals, which I think is going to be more user friendly and more people are going to be willing to come to the show and compete. And also they took out the family only fitting rule, which was just impossible to enforce because the people there to enforce it, they don't know who is in family and who's not family. It was a bad situation. I'm not opposed to only family fitting, but only if it can be enforced, and it just can't. So they're making changes. They're becoming much more user friendly. They're building a new facility that I believe will be in place next year, which is a huge asset. So there's a lot of things going the right direction. I agree with the exact statement that Ryan said, that if you're going to put rules out there, enforce them. And that is what they're doing. Denver didn't change anything. They didn't do anything to try to prevent people from entering. And I've talked to people on their side as well, the people at Denver, and their entries are actually the highest they've ever been in terms of DNA individual submissions. So, I mean, plenty of people did find it. What is amazing to me, and here's where I throw myself under the bus, we contemplated going to Denver. I don't even know if we'll have a go to Denver at that time, but it would be my daughter's last year showing, and I'm sure she would like to show there. But guess what? I did not order DNA kits October 1st. I had in my date calendar November 1 entry/DNA deadline. And I think maybe that's what happened to a lot of people, but I don't know how this year is so different. And I've talked to many people about it. There appear to be far more people across species. Everybody says it's just in the steers. No, I've talked to lamb exhibitors and plenty of goat exhibitors that missed the deadline this year that I cannot explain how it's disproportional this year compared to the previous 2 years when everything has been the same. So
that's what I don't understand.
That is, I can't wrap my head around it. I can explain why I missed it. I am absent-minded. I am forgetful. This is not unusual for me. I have issues like that. So I don't think that I'm the best example, but there's no explanation on why the masses missed that deadline. From the show's perspective, I think it's a great idea to have them have a deadline like they have from a convenience standpoint, that let's get the DNA out so it gets back in time in case there's something that goes wrong in the mail and it doesn't show up. They, for various reasons, they can say, hey, I didn't get my DNA cards. They can send another batch out. There's a lot of reasons to do it that way from just a logistical standpoint. And I can assure you at Arizona, at any show, that you have a DNA kit you have to submit. The day before they're due, people are calling saying, can you overnight it? Can I do this or that? I have driven to a show headquarters to pick up the DNA card because it had to be in the next day, and that was the only way it was going to happen. We used to be able to call your neighbor or somebody, other show family that maybe had extra DNA cards and use theirs. But the way this is set up, they're individually numbered and they're under that exhibitor's name that you can no longer do that with this particular show. I'm not saying with other shows. And I know Arizona, for example, I had extra cards that I gave to a couple of our families. So it's still allowed under those circumstances. So I think there's maybe some things that can be changed for next year to make it more user-friendly. And I had one individual that I respect highly said, well, let's leave the October 1st deadline, but let's make a late DNA packet request that you can charge considerably more money for if you want to wait until October 15th to do so.
I'm going to say that I think Denver, while I completely agree with their stance, these are our rules, we're going to stick by them, we're going to enforce them. I understand that. I respect that. I think they're doing themselves a disservice because this is such a huge portion that didn't. They're already kind of known as not the most exhibitor friendly.
They're trying to
show
change that image.
They're trying to change that image, and this is just taking them way too many steps back. I mean, if I was running Denver, I would probably have a different stance than them, but I do respect and understand where they're coming from. The thing that bothers me the most on all of it is I get there are people that bought an animal just for Denver, just like you said. All this other, there are people that are going to age out. All this other stuff. I just want to know how everybody slipped up this year.
I can't explain it. I've tried. An act of God is the best thing that anybody's come up with that I can throw out there. I heard nothing about this the past 2 years. Did you?
No, nothing.
And I researched this a little bit that the deadlines were the same.
Yeah.
From what I hope I'm not misspeaking here, but that is the information I have. And I remember it being difficult to understand how to order the DNA kits last year. Obviously, I can't speak for this year because I didn't do it.
Right.
And it is what it is. So I'm not so sure. And I'm going to throw one more thing out there. And I have not read all the social media issues and this side and that side, but I can promise you that moving forward, if a situation like this takes place, and we talk about social media here all the time, I think maybe it would have been better it would have ended up better for both parties if a different approach would have been taken in terms of how this was resolved, rather than out there on social media calling each other this or that. And I didn't even read it, so I don't even know what it was. But I think there there is no good resolution to this. Do I think, like Ryan said, would it really have helped Denver's image to come out and say, okay, for some unknown reason that we cannot explain, a lot of people missed the ordering of packets on October 1st. We're going to open it up for a week, and you can still order those.
But it still has to be in by November 1.
Yeah, it still we don't change the deadline that has to be here, which would be technically an ownership deadline. And that helps their image. But all of a sudden you have the other side of it. All of a sudden somebody that gets in late gets a sales slot, and my little Jimmy that had his in on time is one slot knocked out of that sale that wouldn't have happened if they wouldn't have opened it up. There's a lot
very unfortunate.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways to look at this, and maybe I apologize for spending that so much time on it, but I don't have a good answer because I can feel for both sides on this one, and including my daughter. And we weren't just we didn't just go buy one animal for Denver alone. It was more of a situation. If we have one, sure, it's our last year, let's go. And we had a good experience the previous year. 5 years ago, I'd have said, well, no, we're not even going to Denver because it's not a user-friendly environment. But I truly believe the people at Denver right now are doing what they can to make those changes and go in a real positive direction. And I hope they can, because that will bring numbers up. It'll bring everybody's experience up and make it better. So every show out there needs to make it as user-friendly as possible. But I don't know what's right or wrong on this one. But thank you, Ryan, for sharing your input as well. I hope we don't get hate mail on that one, because it wasn't intended to take one side or the other, but just explain here's where it is. Jen has the next question. I am just coming back into the show arena as my kids are becoming of age. I'm assuming of age to show. And I have noticed there are many, many supplements on the market for show animals. I have no idea how to sort through them. Suggestions?
I
don't even know what species she's necessarily.
I don't either, but I'm going to say what I always say on all this. There's a supplement for every ailment, whatever. They all say they cure all the same things, all this other stuff. They're very expensive. I don't want to tell you to go through and by trial and error. I have said this on here before. I will say this on here again. I think a lot of the supplements out there are smoke and mirrors. I'm just, I don't know.
This will be an all-time record hate mail episode.
I don't know. I don't know what to tell you, lady.
No.
Do I think some things work? Do I think some things improved? Some things, yes. But a lot of them just don't. And that's just the honest truth. No. Unless you're a fugate. Everything works for
everything works. Even though I pin him down and I ask him biologically, how are we expanding the upper rib? Are we swelling the bone? Are we changing the rib shape? Are we doing this or that? And Jen, I'm going to come back to you, and my mind doesn't work maybe like others. It's very science-based. And unless there's a logical explanation for it, even if it's there and I see it, if I can't logic through why it happened, I have a hard time with it. So I look at everything from more of a biological sense and want to understand what ingredients in the supplement are going to make biological changes to that animal to give the appearance that they're claiming. Some will not, some may. There's a lot of sorting out to do, but be careful. Don't blindly jump into every single supplement out there and feed more supplement than real feed. I tell people at the most, that feed should be 20% supplement, 80% actual balanced feed. And when we start putting more supplements in and we get a calcium phosphorus ratio out of whack or other things out of balance, you're going to do more damage than good. So be smart about it. But good question, Jen. I think we get this one a lot. So I let it come back in this time. And Ryan, I throw out there that, it wouldn't be popular with some of the supplement companies, but I would love, and I did this when I was teaching animal science class at the college level, to have people submit, I want to know more about this supplement, and break it down from a a true nutritional or biological standpoint, but that would probably get us in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
It would be enjoyable to do. Fun, very fun. With that, Ryan, I am leaving for Kansas City within minutes, and I appreciate you guys. My driver's license facility took a little longer than expected, so we delayed this morning just for me. Thank you, Clifton and Ryan. But until next week, be safe.
Y'all come back now, you hear?